My whole thing in business is, especially now, like in today, like everything is posted, everything's social media, everything is, Instagrammable. So I always want customers to get an experience from the second that they pull into that lot, walking into the door, using the bathroom, waiting in line. Like it has to be this whole thing. And the food can look great and taste great, but it also, has to be very presentable. And that's like my whole thing.
All right, everybody, the Good Hustle Podcast, episode 36.
36 episodes.
John Henry,
Zach Williamson.
what do we do?
We are realtors right here in central Pennsylvania. So if you didn't know that, John and I would love to help you with buying, selling, investing in real estate.
Yeah,
So,
we would.
yeah.
Also, the last couple of weeks, what I think it's kind of fallen into place, what we're focusing on is basically small business.
Mhm.
So last week we had, Stacey Fox from Santucci's on, who's a great woman, a mom, building a brand locally. That's something completely different than people are used to. And today we have Jackie,
Hi.
who's also building another brand with her husband that is not what people are used to locally.
Yeah.
And it's tough. It's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
So welcome to the show. We are so excited to have you here. And I'm glad Steve didn't show up. Just kidding. Just kidding. I love
Shout out
Steve.
to
Love you,
Steve.
Steve.
Yeah, we love Steve. So I've known you for many, many years, but we really got to know each other during a weight loss thing that I did over about a year and a half ago. Like we were always acquaintances, knew each other for many, many years. But you're a former owner of Valley Bistro and many other restaurants, which we're going to kind of get in on that backstory.
Mhm.
But the things that you've done locally for restaurants and the inspiration that you and your husband have that goes into your food, into your quality, into your menus is really what kind of sparked my interest in getting to know you more and more, because you do things differently than most places in the area. And I think that's very inspiring, especially for somebody that wants to open up a new brand. And there's a lot of fear when it comes to opening up local new businesses, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So give us a little bit of backstory on you and your husband and what you guys have done over the years, because this isn't like an overnight show, because some people will drive by your newest restaurant, which we're going to get into. How
Yes,
pretty
the
this
Bagel
is.
Boutique.
The Bagel Boutique.
We're spoiling the lead here.
We're spoiling the lead, but people, drive by, and I guarantee their first thought is, wow, that went up quick.
Yeah.
Is that the truth?
See, that was my first thought. I'll just be honest. I saw it there and I was like, oh, that's a pretty building. Like, I don't remember that being there. We drive past there all the time. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we started in January with renovations. We were moving and grooving, and then we just hit
Electrical wall.
oh my God, literally,
Yep.
9 weeks. We were not allowed to do anything. We were waiting on an electrical inspection.
Oh,
And as you know, you can't put your walls up till your electrical is inspected.
Yeah.
Your floors can't go in and everything,
uh,
But Steve and I met in 2006. I was getting my master's degree at Chestnut Hill in Philadelphia. He was, sorry, Steve, just released from the NFL. He was going to some camps and he tore his ACL. So
oh no.
Just to be clear, like to be released from the NFL is a lot more rare than anybody could ever imagine. So
Yeah,
let's give credit
no,
where
let's
credit's
give him
due.
credit. And it's not even a sore subject for him, but he didn't make it big, but he made it to the camps and he got injured twice, unfortunately. And
That would probably be the least embarrassing story of my life if I
Yeah.
got released from the
Yeah.
NFL.
right, like it's still like such a great feat, right?
And if you
So,
see Steve, you'll understand he was definitely a wide receiver,
yeah, he's just a little thing.
just a little guy.
But yeah, we met in 2006. He was running his parents' restaurant in New Jersey. I was getting my master's degree. We met, and I grew up in the business, but was always like told, you have to go to college. I don't want you working in this business. It's a hard business. And so I went and got my master's degree. I did really well. I moved up quickly. And Steve and I got married, and we moved out of New Jersey. And he had wanted a restaurant, and I've always loved being in the business. We opened up our first place in 2010, maxing out every single credit card we had.
Oh,
Mm.
Um,
yeah.
we didn't have any help from our parents because we were like, look, if we're going to do this and we don't succeed, the last thing you want is to owe,
Family money.
money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Right.
So our first place was Brick City on 2nd Street, um, condemned building in the worst state you could possibly think with squatters. And I
And
don't
was it?
know if it was just like my age, but I was like, oh, we got this, right? It's fine. And then I find out I'm pregnant with Gianna.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
Yeah. So the timing was impeccable. But um, we turned it around. We invested a lot of money, made it a wonderful building. And from there, everything that we've done, every business, um, we've made a profit and just kept reinvesting it into the next venture.
Yeah.
And so people say, why do you never stay somewhere long enough? It's kind of our thing that we go into places that are either in really bad shape or quote unquote a bad location. And I just have this vision. And Steve and I are really good at like, he's back of house, I'm front of house. I have the ideas, he's the muscle and
Sure.
executes. And we're just a really good team together. And we get something up and running and sell it. Although I will say that this concept with the bagels is kind of something I think will stick around for a while.
Yeah.
I agree.
Can I stop you right there though?
Yeah.
I have a question because I've always wondered this about people like yourself, right? So you have this kind of romantic, fun idea in the beginning of like, let's do a restaurant and it's gonna be so cute. Like me and Steve would do it.
Oh,
It'll be
yeah.
so fun. And like I have a master's, so like I know I have the brains to do it and all that kind of stuff, right? And I think a lot of people have those kind of visions as they're sitting around like in the corporate job or whatever they're doing, like to start something like that, right? Um, but to actually do it, and you touched on it a little bit with the debt and the creditors and all that kind of stuff, and like the fear of what this doesn't work out. Like, do you remember being pretty afraid in the beginning of like this whole thing could come crashing down, and then we never get to Valley Bistro and Bagel
Yeah.
Boutiques and all that kind of stuff?
For our first one, definitely. I was like, wow, we just got married. We don't really have a savings. We're pregnant. Um, and it was nerve-wracking for a little bit. And I remember opening day, we had not even really announced that we were opening. Again, it was a lot of foot traffic down on 2nd Street, right?
Yep.
So Midtown, a lot of people were seeing what was going on in the renovations, and we did a soft opening, and I'll never forget. It was so busy that night, and I remember sitting
Oh
there at the
man.
table with my father, and we were just like, "Whoa, we did it! Like we did it!"
Yeah.
And from then on, and it's something that people always talk to me about, like, do you not get nervous? I just don't put that thought in my head.
Mm,
There's no there's no way that I am going to let us fail.
Yeah.
mm,
So it takes a lot of work, like it's constant research, it's what is trending, um, you know, going into bigger cities and actually, engulfing yourself in the environment. And part of that is my love for bigger cities. I lived in Philadelphia, then we moved to New Jersey. We were always in New York, which is where this bagel thing kind of popped up.
oh, okay.
And also as a child, I would go to the Jersey Shore. So it was like, why are these bagels so good? Why are they
Yeah.
so different?
Mm,
And then, with every restaurant, we have like a book of concepts. And, if we didn't have kids, I'd probably have more. But
That's what we talked about last night was this.
yeah,
Well, we kind of discussed, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but like you and Steve had this relationship and throughout the whole thing, through, early dating, through marriage, through everything, there's always been this little like, gosh, we got to find our favorite bagel place. Like no
yes,
matter where you live, it's like, man, we love bagels. And that's
yes.
always been like a hidden thing for you guys where it's not necessarily like, my favorite pizza shop, my favorite thing. It's like you guys always had this for bagels.
Yeah, we always have.
Yeah.
And, from him growing up and living in New York and then moving to North Jersey, um, like going to a bagel shop, there's one every like mile,
Yeah.
right? It's like, it's a thing there. And so then it became like, let's try all the different bagels in all the different places we
mm,
can. And then we started having kids and, we go to the Jersey Shore every summer. and their thing are the rainbow bagels. Now they're plain tasting bagels, right? But they're just colorful and they're exciting. And so,
I like the rainbow bagels.
yeah,
I'll admit it.
He's a kid.
yeah.
I'm 12 in
Kid
my
at
head.
heart.
Yeah.
I'm 13 and a half, so it's fine.
You
He's a
know,
year older than me.
it's a tradition. Like as soon as you cross over the bridge and you smell the Jersey water, the
Yeah.
first thing we did was let's get our rainbow bagels for the kids. So it's
Yeah.
kind of become a thing.
Yeah.
And I grew up in the restaurant business that was a breakfast restaurant. And then, Steve and I opened Valley Bistro. So breakfast has always been our thing. So when we sold Valley Bistro, we're like, okay, we still want to do breakfast because a lot of the reason why we do it is that we have 3 kids
Yeah.
who are heavily involved and we like the hours. Um, and so we're like, all right, let's do this bagel thing, which has not been easy.
No. Well, let's cut back a little bit because I want to get into the growth of, which obviously you don't own anymore, but the growth of Valley Bistro.
Yeah,
'Cause
which by the way, if you've never heard of Valley Bistro, it is banging. It's
It
awesome.
is. It's a great
Yes.
restaurant, and it was built by you and your husband.
Yeah, I
And-
love Valley Bistro so much. I love
And and when I first started going there, like you don't remember this, but when you first started going there, that little entranceway where everybody stands to order,
Yeah.
that was the dining room.
Oh, really?
That whole
I
other
don't remember
side was
that.
not part of their thing.
Okay.
So it was this little teeny dining room. I remember the first time I ate there was probably about a decade ago,
Mm.
and I had to sit, like just fight for a table. And like now, if you think about it, could you imagine if that was the still when you were the final owners, when it was your last few months or year there, if that was still the dining room?
Yeah, definitely not with the concept that it was. Maybe now with like the grab and go takeout that we have established with Bagel Boutique. But funny story about Valley Bistro is I was lucky enough to stay home with my kids for 9 years. And my husband was high up in corporate. And I said, the kids are older. They're kind of, starting to all be at school. Like, I just want to open a little place from, you know, 7 to 2. Um, I'll get done by the time the kids are out of school. It'll be perfect. And so he had mentioned the location, Valley Bistro, where Valley Bistro is.
It was a pizza shop.
It was a pizza
Oh,
shop.
and wasn't it the what's that place called? Pizza Boy or
Yeah,
whatever.
it
Yeah,
was. It
Oh,
was
okay.
ours. Yeah,
yeah.
and we had seen that the business was, starting to really slow down, and there weren't many patrons, and the door was locked. And so my husband, I said, "This is great. This is perfect. Like I know this area is kind of up and coming. They're going to be doing a lot of, you know, um, building a lot of stuff in the area."
Corporate
At the
stuff.
time, I
Mhm.
didn't know exactly what it was.
Mhm.
And we reached out to George Sullenberger, who was the landlord. And I remember clear as day the very first conversation we were driving. And I just think he looked at us as like two young kids that really didn't know what we were doing.
Like you don't know who I am.
Yeah.
How old were you guys at the time? Do you remember?
Oh, man. So in our mid-30s.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. And George was great. I mean, he was like, sure, come. And, there were a lot of other people interested in that location, but it wasn't really the type of businesses that he wanted there. And at the time, there was still like a tanning salon and
Oh, on the left side. Yeah.
yeah. So we met with him. I told him my concept. He kind of, at first was a little hesitant, but then the more I spoke, he was really intrigued. And I remember we started renovations, and the first thing we did was we fixed the ceiling and painted it black. And you would have thought George, like, he lost his mind. He was like, "Oh my God, this is black." Called his wife, said, "Oh my God, I don't know what these two are doing. This is going to be
That's a
horrible."
restaurant. I think black ceilings are the greatest thing in the world. Like you ever go to like a nice Italian restaurant?
Yes.
What is
You
this
look up the
restaurant
ceil-
emo or something?
Yeah.
What's going on?
The
in here?
ceilings are black. Anyway, go ahead.
Yes. And so everything I've ever done has always been black and white. It's like my thing with like an accent color. So
Okay.
I remember George calling his wife. She comes, she opens the door, and she's like, she doesn't really say anything. And I just start laughing because that at that moment is when I knew George and I and Steve just had a great relationship, and I could really give it to him and irritate him a little bit.
Yeah.
Love you, George. And then we opened up and, slowly starting. No, it
Yeah.
was like the quote unquote bad location, bad turn in.
Which a bad turn-in. It's a
It's
bad
horrible.
It's a
location.
really bad turn,
It-
but it's an amazing place.
But it's amazing. Like, you can't find parking.
Right.
Like, if you want to talk about an inspiration when it comes to something like, oh, it's not a good spot to open something up, yet you still overcame that.
Yeah.
Valley Bistro is that.
That's it.
And when I did say I went there a decade ago, that was not the truth, because obviously, if I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, 2018
Yeah.
was the opening year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So go ahead. So
Sorry.
it wasn't a decade ago. Sorry.
Yeah.
I exaggerate.
No, you're good. But you went there a decade ago, probably when it was Al's.
Oh, yeah,
or-
100%. Yep.
So, and the parking lot only extended to the end of the front of the building. So, I just remember like trying to grow our social media, and I remember like there were days I was a one-man show. I opened and I was the only one that ran the front. And my husband kept his corporate job, and we had other people hired, and we slowly just, got busier and busier and busier. And we went to George. He sold us the building. We extended, and that left side there was just catering, because I've always done catering. My
Mhm.
dad and I had a catering business when I was in high school. Steve and I would do side caterings throughout every business, and I just love catering.
Yeah.
And then that took off. And then I remember doing like takeout Tuesdays, because Tuesdays are always a slow day.
Mm.
And then we didn't have enough storage for takeout Tuesdays. So we had to stop takeout Tuesdays. And then like my social media just kept growing. And my whole thing in business is, especially in now, like in today, like everything is posted, everything's social media, everything is, Instagrammable. So I always want customers to get an experience from the second that they pull into that lot, walking into the door, using the bathroom, waiting in line. Like, it has to be this whole thing. And the food can look great and taste great, but it also, has to be very presentable. And that's like my whole thing.
Amen.
By the way, guys, if you're enjoying this episode of the Good Hustle podcast, please go ahead, leave a like, subscribe on the YouTube, and also we are on Spotify and Apple Podcasts now. So if you want to listen without the video part, you can do that.
Yep. And if you're looking for any real estate needs, whether you're buying, selling, or investing, please contact Zach or myself. Our numbers are below. Back to the podcast.
Because social media is basically free advertisement.
It is.
Yep.
That's how I run my business. I mean, I've
Yeah.
ran my real estate and basically my entire career off of Facebook and using social media. And I don't really talk about work all the time on there, like
Yeah.
hardly at all. But I can tell you, like, how much your heart goes into these businesses is really key, because I can remember texting throughout the last 10 months and you're like, did you see my pink parking lot lines?
Yes.
Like, just
Oh, that's so cool.
just like the little details. And I can tell you, like, I grew up not even a block away, and that's where I started my drug addiction, was right up the street. And I can remember when I was at Unimart and I stole cigarettes from there. Like, I can remember like different memories of that exact building where Bagel Boutique is now. And, those memories are going to be different now. And just watching what you've done, but getting back into like, even with Valley Bistro, like the amount of business that place did over the last 6 years, or you guys owned it for just 5 years. Like, that was a blow up. Like, to see something go from boom to boom in 5 years was insane. Because there's days that I would drive in, I won't go there on a weekend. Won't happen.
Well, let's tell everybody the truth. You would just text me.
I would. Certain days I
Get me
would be
some
like,
food.
hey, can you make me lunch?
He would
Because,
text me and it would be
there are
ready.
definitely times that happen, but there's certain times like I would drive in there and I'm like, I can't wait this long.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's not a bad thing. That's just about success.
It's a good problem to have.
It's a great problem to have. But also, if I was going to wait that long and I saw the line, I certainly wasn't going to complain about it, because I know walking in what it's like. And
We constantly adapted. We were like using an iPad POS system, and then we kept expanding. And then once it was catering and we changed it to the dining area, then we added the 2 other registers on the side there. We constantly kept adapting to the needs, and no one had ever, if you told me what's your ideal restaurant and the layout, it's definitely not what Valley Bistro was. It was
Sure.
very long, and you couldn't see, like as the owner, I'm on the one side, you can't necessarily see what's going on the other side. But all to say is, if you have a vision, and there's no option for failure, you just make it work.
yeah. And I think that's what we had, like I said, Santucci, Stacey Fox on. Like,
Mhm.
she has a vision. She's working a full-time job now just to make sure that that vision continues. Like, you do what it takes to make it
Yep.
work.
Yeah.
And I mean, you were saying something earlier today about how she transfers time with like her kids. Do you want to talk to her about how she balances that?
Yeah, I guess that's interesting. Because how in the world are you able to not only start up one restaurant, but then move on to another one? And then the other thing I was thinking this whole time is like you definitely have this visioneering type of thing going on inside of you at all times, and I can tell because while you're doing all this crazy stuff at Valley Bistro, you're also kind of dreaming about like, oh, what if we opened a bagel boutique or something like that too. So how are you possibly balancing your life, your kids, your family, and then running a business like that that takes all of your time? And think about the next one too. I mean that's a
My
lot.
brain never
Stops.
stops. I am always, I mean, there are days that I am like spending 3 hours researching like drinks. And my husband's like, "Do you sleep?" And I'm like, But I grew up in the business and we made it a priority that we would maintain as much of a normal social, like family life that we could with the kids. And I felt like I lost a lot of that at Valley Bistro
Mhm.
because remember, we opened right before COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And so COVID hits, and you're like, who the heck is going to want to get breakfast for takeout? Right. And our customers were amazing. Like, guys, I can't even explain to you. I think I remember the first night we did takeout and stayed open later. I just remember like crying because I was like, the loyalty of our customers during COVID. And that's what kind of sparked this whole bagel boutique idea too, because grab and go, takeout, families are always on the, you know what I mean? And you don't have to worry about constantly finding employees. Like that was always an issue, you know? And so I lost a lot of time trying to grow that business with the kids, and we promised that we would not let that happen this go around. And so as a result, sometimes I'm at the restaurant till 2 a.m. making the schmears. And
Mhm.
my husband goes in at 3:30 in the morning to make the bagels.
The schmears.
Get schmeared.
Get smeared.
um, you know, I coach, he coaches. Our kids are very involved in, sports. And so it's just a sacrifice we make right now. When we first opened Bagel Boutique, I mean, we were literally there between 18 and 20 hours a day.
So day one, you did 600 bagels, right? Roughly.
Yeah.
Day
Yeah.
two was
And I
like,
remember thinking like this is way too much.
yeah, and day two was like 900.
Yeah, close to 1,000,
And then day three,
1,200,
yep. Day four,
1,500.
yep.
And then
Insanity.
yeah, and opening day, we opened at 6 a.m. because we really wanted to get those really early risers, the people going to work or the teachers going to school. And 5:30 a.m. there's a line. And I was like, it was crazy.
Did that surprise you?
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean,
yeah.
we have a loyal following. We're also in a very like visibly, you know, like busy road, right?
Yeah.
And so people had been
Is that the
watching.
6,500 block of the Carlisle Pike?
hmm
Yeah.
And people were anticipating our opening. But we just never thought there was no, with every other restaurant we've had, we opened, slowly got busier and busier. This was just balls to the wall, opening day. We just couldn't even,
Couldn't breathe.
we couldn't breathe. We couldn't, and you're still, it doesn't matter how many restaurants you've opened, right? It doesn't matter I mean, there were weeks leading up to it where I was thinking about like, okay, what if this happens? Are you prepared for this? Is this in the POS system? Doesn't matter.
Yep.
Like you just have to get up and open, like running, and you deal with it as it comes. The problem, and I don't want to say problem because we're very grateful, it's just we didn't have a chance to address the issues that came up.
Right.
Mhm.
And I'll speak on maybe a little bit on your behalf on that because I think it's really important for people to understand. And we talked to Stacy about this as well.
Mhm.
You walk into, chain restaurant and they mess something up.
Like Chipotle or something.
Anything, Chick-fil-A, whatever. Great, great chain restaurants, right? And they mess something up, you're going back the next day. Nobody cares. The thing to me that I think is very important to understand when you are going to local businesses, and I'm speaking to everybody, including myself, be kind. These people have put their heart, their soul, their life savings into some of these places,
And then some,
and
with
then
all the
some
debts and things you
debts
take
and
on.
things.
Yeah.
And there's going to be mistakes that happen, especially in the first few months. It's a new restaurant.
Mm.
Just be kind, because we're all in this together. We want to support local, because this is what supports our local community, obviously. So, and I'll give you an example. 2 weeks ago, I have to get a hearing aid. I'm actually getting it tonight. I went to Costco. I was like, yep, I'm going to save a few bucks. Costco's great. Sat there, everything went well, but I didn't have that feeling of like, wow, they really care.
Mhm.
It's Costco. I'm going to save some money. Everybody loves Costco, right? And then all of a sudden I was like, why am I going to Costco? Why wouldn't I? And this isn't available for everybody either, because not everybody has money. Why wouldn't I spend a couple of extra $100 and put that money into my neighbor's pocket who owns a hearing aid company, store, whatever you want to call it? And that's what I'm doing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because I'm actually going to get that hands-on, hey, she's coming to my house tonight to fit me for my hearing aid. You think Costco's coming anywhere near my house?
That's what
No.
you get though with, small business,
Mm-hmm.
family run operations. We don't have the backing of corporate, right?
Yeah.
So mistakes are going to happen. I own that. We've made mistakes when we open. We had employees make mistakes, but guess what? Everyone is at least trying their best. And Steve and I truly love the business. I always say this, we are nothing without our customers. Our community, our loyal following have been so great to us throughout the years. And there are people in the restaurant business that open and they don't necessarily care about the quality of products and they're just slapping something together. But if you truly knew me, you know how important food is just to my life. And
Mhm.
that means like, you know, dating back to my grandparents coming over from Greece and, how important food was to people who didn't have it. And then think of all the things that happen around food, huge life events.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's time in the crazy world where you sit down and you connect with your family, your loved ones, your children. It's a rule in our house that anytime we're together eating breakfast, lunch, or dinner,
No phones.
there's no phones. That
Yeah.
is our time to connect.
That's
And
what I have to tell Taylor. I'm just kidding. I'm the one that
Taylor.
sucks.
I knew you were going to say
Sorry,
that.
Taylor.
Yeah. I mean, and life is, everything. Ping this, ping that. You're always getting notification. Like, I get it. I'm guilty of it myself. But I truly love the business. I love seeing every customer that walks through that door, whether they're buying a coffee or a huge order.
Yeah.
Every single person that I'm so appreciative. And I love it. And we truly care about it. If I would not feed it to myself or my children, I'm not serving it to my customers.
Yeah.
I care about the cleanliness of the place.
Amen.
The quality products we use. That's what Steve is like really good about is, running the kitchen and knowing what products, making the bagels. I mean, the poor guy at the beginning, like, sure, they weren't perfect. They didn't look like this, but just give us some grace. We're trying.
Yeah.
And now we're in a really good groove. Like
Yeah.
now
And
things
you
are great.
And in all honesty, I didn't go in for the first month because the lines were insane for me. Like I
Yeah.
couldn't do it. Like
Yeah.
I also have some mental illness where I can't. Like I have some OCD.
Some mental illness.
Some.
Lots. I have a lot of issues, but anyway, I just when I finally walked in, him and I went in together. We made
Yeah.
we did a live video with you, and it was banging.
Yeah. Well, I want to give my first impression. So when we were going there, I had only seen the outside, and I actually remember because we drive past there to film the podcast, and I remember driving past one of the mornings, and I remember seeing a big line, and I was like, man, I really wish I could go there. It looks awesome, but I'm only seeing it with the huge line outside. And we were filming the podcast and doing work and stuff, but then we actually go in, and I was like blown away, like floored with the look, the presentation, like they have the big giant vaulted ceilings in there. You have all the colors and it's all like pink and fun and like kind of modern retro feeling in there. And yeah, it's so cool.
And feeding off of what he just said, like in what you said earlier about the experience, like when you walk in, it's almost like a tutorial on what you're doing about the bagels. Here's what you got.
Yeah.
Here's what you get. Like on that first walk-in on the wall on the right, like it's literally telling you about what's going to happen to you over the next few minutes with your bagels, how they're made, this and that. Like all that stuff's there. Like to me, that's the experience. Food's great, presentation's great, experience is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're not hitting all three of these, people aren't coming back.
Right. And
They're
I'll tell
not.
you this too, like I was getting a little analysis paralysis because I whenever I go to like a new fun restaurant like that, I'm like, oh man, everything looks so new and fun. And it's hard to pick like one thing off the menu and everything looks so yummy.
Dude, you
So
got a freaking French toast bacon cheeseburger.
I did. Well, it's a
Like, you
French
hit-
toast bagel cheeseburger. It was awesome.
Yeah, French toast bagel bacon cheeseburger. Like the greatest thing I've ever heard of in my
It
life.
was
Just
really
a
good.
little bit of everything.
Little bit of
Yes.
everything.
Yes.
But
Well,
we wanted you to walk in and feel like you truly were like in a bigger city, you know?
Oh, I did.
it was
yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Do you
Well,
want
I'm from Adams County, so anything like that is like New York City to
Do you
me.
remember your first question? You're like, do you have an apple bagel? Just kidding. That's Adams County. That's apple country. Where's the apple bagel? Do you want to
there
go
any cows
through
here?
go through some of these real quick? Because I'm really hungry and I'm
Yeah.
tired
Oh,
of staring
yes,
at them
we
because all
should.
I've smelled for the last 29 minutes is bagels.
Hey.
So
All right. So here's our famous, well, the kids,
Okay.
rainbow, pink. Of course, I had to have a pink bagel, right?
Yeah, the pink
got
bagel's
pink.
awesome.
Cranberry raisin. This is our French toast, rye, whole grain.
And for the audio listeners, we have like a platter here with all the bagels
Yeah.
on it. It looks really good.
get on YouTube's peeps.
Salt, sesame, jalapeno cheddar.
That's what this one is?
Asiago. Yep.
Jalapeno cheddar,
Mhm.
Asiago, everything.
Everything.
My favorite. Plain.
Oreo. Fruity Pebbles.
Yeah, so my favorite is the Fruity Pebble bagel. That thing is awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then don't you want that rainbow one too?
So I would like to try the cookie and cream one. That one looks.
Where's
really
that
good.
one at?
This one with the Oreo here.
He has a sweet tooth.
I do. I have a sweet tooth. Yeah, that's me.
Well, look at him. He's a sweet pea. And then, oh my gosh, there's so many schmears here.
So all these schmears, guys, I mean, I make them all,
Okay.
made from scratch. And
What's that
depending
one?
on the season,
Birthday
so
cake?
that's our birthday cake.
I knew it.
Oh.
This is a
That's so good.
s'mores.
Ooh.
That one?
And so the schmears, like, are they like cream cheese with like other stuff in them? Is that basically
Yes.
what
You said
they
that's
are?
French
Okay.
toast?
Yes,
Can I just tear
Yeah.
meat and like use a spoon?
it's your world.
I love when you say that.
Pumpkin.
Oh my gosh, you kidding me? So what's that? Pumpkin?
This is pumpkin. So
What's
like
this one?
every season, that's our strawberry. Peanut butter heaven.
Peanut butter heaven.
Now this is a new one that I just made. This is called the Fiesta.
Whoa.
What is it?
So it is fresh pico de gallo, shredded cheddar,
You kidding me?
and then
Mm. Oh my gosh.
oh, this is the other new one I made.
What's this
That
one?
is a smoked garlic and Asiago.
Oh, I'm going. That's one.
But you're doing that on a French toast.
I don't care.
Oh,
He's crazy. This guy's crazy.
Yeah, it's still good.
What should I put with the Oreo?
I don't care. That's banging.
it's a French toast. So do you want something sweet? The maple walnut,
Oh, I want that one.
Ooh.
the Cookie Monster.
Oh, Cookie Monster for
Cookie
sure.
Monster.
I gotta try Cookie Monster.
Did you ever see a Cookie Monster when he's on Family Guy? He's
Yes.
cooking.
Blueberry crumb pie.
Whoa.
And then, you know, your typical lox, loaded veggie,
Mm.
chive and onion.
What the heck was that one again?
Which one? The smoked garlic and Asiago?
Yeah.
Oh,
the
maple
sweet one.
walnut.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's
Real
insane.
maple syrup
Where do you get the ideas for all this stuff?
Interwebs. I'm just kidding. In your brain.
in my brain. In my brain. Now, granted, some bagel shops, that's the other, one of the comments that we've received is New York bagels, they don't have Oreo and
Well.
Fruity Pebble.
Right.
So what?
Well, let's jump into 2024, and they do,
What's this one?
because that's where we get the dough from. Chive and onion.
That's what I want.
Wait,
Okay.
are people saying that as like a bad thing?
Yeah, they're like, these aren't New York bagels. New York bagels aren't Oreo and Fruity Pebble. Well, we have your traditional New York bagels, but we also, you know,
This is what I was saying about, like, listen, it's a local business. It's family ran. It's bringing money into the community. You're helping out a family. Just be kind.
yeah, just be kind. And look, if we make a mistake, like give us the opportunity to fix it. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Google's not refunding your money. Google's not going to remake your sandwich. And look, everybody's entitled to their opinions. Go ahead and give your reviews. They used to bother me. They don't bother me anymore. But there are things, you know, some hateful things that have been said about us, about our business. And I'm like, wow, I literally cannot believe that people unless you're 100% sure of something, how you could post it on someone's page.
Mhm.
And before I would remove the comments, but now I leave them on there.
Mhm.
And
What's one of the craziest comments you've gotten so far? Do you remember like any specific
yeah,
ones?
there's a bunch. One is they must be young and new to the business and don't want to make a sandwich past 12 o'clock because,
Oh, because you're busy on the weekends and you have
yeah,
family.
and we have families. So sometimes we close the doors at 11:45 because we still have a line that wraps around,
Oh,
in down to the hallway. So again, we're in there at 3 a.m. So it's not that we don't want to, but even after closing, we're serving still about a half hour. And mind you, our kids have games and sports. And so we're not locking the door because we don't want you there. We also need to make sure that the people that have decided to wait in line have bagels
Mm-hmm.
to order. Um, Comments like that, or you don't boil your bagels. Well, come in at 2:30 and 3 o'clock and watch my husband boil
I didn't even
your
know boiled
bagels.
bagels was a thing.
It's a thing. It's just I don't know. I think we're slowly like people are, you know, seeing what we're producing and, trusting us and sometimes with success comes a lot of hate and
Oh,
Yeah.
listen, I can tell you the first time I ever felt that, I was 33. Oh, I was 33 years old and I was nominated for Harrisburg Man of the Year. That does not
No big
mean you're,
deal, obviously.
no, that has nothing to do with popularity. It has to do with raising money for Leukemia Lymphoma Society.
Mhm.
But there was a lot of press and radio and things that I was doing. And it was the first time that I felt like real hate from people. Like you have any bit of success and you're going to feel it. So please understand that if this is something that's happening to you and you're successful, just be prepared for negative because
Oh
it's going
yeah.
to happen.
Yeah.
And as sad as it is, it's going to happen. But be the stronger person. If they want to make comments, let them make comments. We don't even have to respond. It's
Yeah.
okay. You know?
I always say you work so hard to be successful in your life, but when you are, sometimes it's lonely. And sure, you have your small
Absolutely.
group of people that are your friends, but it's the constant, comments and we've worked hard to be where we are. We remain humble. We give back. We treat our employees like family. We love our community. We love our loyal supporters, and we truly care about what we're putting out. So if we were somehow, cocky or egotistical or just wanted somebody's money, we wouldn't truly put the amount of effort that we do into giving a quality product. Our portions are big. Um, Steve, he's making food like he's feeding himself. So,
Yeah. I
um,
appreciate that as a
yeah, it's like
gigantic
you want to
person.
feel like you're getting your money's worth. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, it's an ongoing thing. Like, we mentioned earlier about these chains having, people will wait in line for a coffee down the road for 20 minutes, and that's okay. And all the while they get a sandwich there that's,
Microwave,
microwaved,
processed,
frozen, the size, this big.
guilty,
Yeah. I
done
mean,
it.
we're all guilty of
Mhm.
it, right? Like, but yes, sometimes, we've opened the kiosks now during the week. We just can't have them open on the weekends because our par levels with our bagels, there's no way to track that right now, right?
Mhm.
So if somebody's ordering 12 bagels at the kiosk and then we don't have them, it's just this thing. But during the week they're open. We're going to open online ordering in the next week or so. But yeah, there's a line. But now people are getting their food once they order within
5 to 10 minutes.
5 to
Ticket times
10
are fast
minutes.
now.
They're
Yeah.
they're they're fast. We've gotten, we first opened, we had the bagels in the front. Like, if somebody was just coming in to get a bagel with schmear. But then we moved it again. It's like we're constantly adapting. Hands up. You done?
Oh,
John's eating like 7 bagels
that's
at the
like
same time right now.
there's a problem.
Look at your mouth. It has
He's saving some for later in the cheeks though.
So anyway, it's delicious.
I guess I
What's your
can ask
favorite
you.
one?
Oh, well, so far it's still Fruity Pebble, but the cookies and cream one, the Oreo one is really good.
Yeah.
This stuff though, this Cookie Monster stuff is insane.
Yeah.
This is the
Let me
type of
try.
stuff you come back for sure.
To
It's,
put on the French toast one.
but I'm
Sure.
like a sugar guy, so
Yeah.
like that is like my
So the
my
fruity
thing.
pebble with the strawberry is actually really good.
Oh, I would love to try that
So-
too.
I'm a normie, I guess you would say. So like the Asiago, and the everything bagel. Like an everything bagel to me is like mine.
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
Staple.
Uh-huh.
Love it.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me?
Now,
Mm.
it does leave blue.
It's okay. We'll make it happen.
Oh my gosh.
But-
I guess one other question I have for you is like, and I kind of have this for all the people that come through here with all these crazy businesses and stuff, is like, there's always the alternative to just do something more simple, more easy, and just work in, like, I mean, you have a master's degree. You could have
Yeah.
easily worked your way through the corporate world and gotten off work at 3 or 4 every day and been relatively good with that and had a lot more time on your hands to do whatever else, right? So the big question I always have in my head is like what is your why? Why push this hard to make dreams like Bagel Boutique a reality?
There's a few reasons. I want my children to see that, especially my daughters, right? You can do both. You can be a successful business owner and you can also be a mother. We mothers are pulled in a million directions, and that's not saying that my husband isn't either, or that we just have different responsibilities and we have to think of things. So overall, I want to show my kids, whatever it is that you put your mind to. My kids in sports, you want to be a top athlete, put the work in, right? Remain humble and just be a good person. 2, I want to provide a place within the community that people love going to, a gathering place. And along with opening a restaurant, just even providing jobs to high school kids, their first job, right? Like they're learning about life through me. I'm teaching them about customer service. I mean, you want any good life lesson, work in a restaurant.
Is Bill Warner's daughter working there?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. She's awesome too.
She's awesome.
What a great
All the
kid.
kids that I have working for me. And so some people, I mean, when we first opened, we had customers like frustrated with them. I'm like,
Their first
look at
job.
these,
That
they're
was her first
kids.
day. Was the day you opened. I remember they
These
dropped
are
her off that.
hustlers. These are, I mean, the one girl I remember weeks before we opened, she just kept, following up with me like, are you hiring? Are you hiring? Like, you can't teach that to these 14-year-old kids.
Nope.
My daughter's in their third, she could run that restaurant.
Yeah.
But like, these are kids that want to work. And I always ask, why do you want to work? Like, you're only, 14. Well, in 2 years, I'm going to be driving and I want to start. I mean, who thinks like that? I mean,
I
these
did not.
kids are thinking like that.
Right.
And so, it's a place for me. And then I've also met people, within that area that don't necessarily have much.
Mm-hmm.
They can come anytime. They can grab a bagel. They can grab a drink. There's so much more to just saying that you're making good food. And that's truly what I love. I mean, growing up in the business, my family, they were just always givers, right? Successful as hell. You would look at them and never know it, And so that's how I was raised. And so there's so much more to just saying that you have a popular, busy restaurant with good food. It's just about being part of the community, giving back, being examples to young kids, because ultimately that's our future, right?
Yeah.
And that's what matters to me. I mean, I'm not saying that I don't enjoy the things that come along with being successful, but I can tell you that I've earned all of that. My husband and I have done that on our own. We
Yeah.
have worked
Yep.
hard. And we're the type of owners, we're right there alongside, working alongside. We're not,
That's what I loved about Valley Bistro. I'd peek in that little window.
Yeah.
There's Steve with his spatula.
Well,
and now you go there and he's in the back corner just making bagels all day at the boutique.
he
I'm
has
like,
to be a little more behaved because it's open.
it is more.
I always say, you want to test your marriage? Open a restaurant together.
I believe that.
I always thought it was put a piece of IKEA furniture together.
Oh, that
Oh.
too.
Well, now it's new for me because Taylor has to drive me everywhere. It's awful. And that's like the test of our marriage.
Are you like a backseat driver?
Dude, I tell her exactly how to swing wide to park in a parking
Yeah.
spot.
I mean, I'm guilty of it too
Like
with
I'm
my husband.
I'm literally the worst, and I'm sorry because it will continue.
Poor Taylor.
I'm sorry, it will continue, and I suck. I'm sorry. No. Why are you not backing in? Why you got to take out wider? Watch that curb. Take Henny, get in the right lane. Why are you in this lane? Like,
Taylor truly deserves.
she hits me in the forehead at least once a day. She
Well,
smacks me.
You deserve it.
I would say.
100%. Oh yeah.
I would say.
Yeah, this
But
dent wasn't there before I met her. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, and it's just great to see what you're doing. Because once again, it's local, it's community.
yeah.
Yeah. And there's a lot of talk too of like, oh, like I don't like I wish I lived in the 50s before McDonald's and Walmart were the only two places I could go. And I'm like, okay, well then support these local businesses. Like
Yeah.
show up,
Amen.
like be
Amen.
there, you know?
Yeah,
If it-
support local, be
Yeah.
patient. I mean, we're working hard and we truly, genuinely care about our customers
Mhm.
and what we do. But you guys also, like, you are really taking off with this podcast.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I'm so proud of you guys and
Thanks.
just, lucky to call you my friends. I'm always,
Yeah.
but you too, like with what you're doing, you are, opening people's eyes to so many things. And with the world that we live in today, it's not easy, right? You have eyes on you all the time. People are quick to judge whether, if you're not successful, they
Yep.
want to talk about it. If you are successful, they want to talk about it. So you really open up a lot for just everyday people to come in and share their stories, and that's amazing.
Thanks. I
So
appreciate it.
Well,
you guys are
I'm
awesome.
constantly floored by the quote unquote everyday people that are doing like really unbelievable
Yeah.
stuff.
Extraordinary things.
Yes. I mean we've talked to a lot of people on the podcast so far and I wouldn't call any of them necessarily ordinary. Like
Yeah.
I mean
Yeah.
everyone that we've talked to has had an amazing story and a lot of hard work that I know 99% of people would never touch. So
Yeah.
I think that while you're saying you're an ordinary person, I don't think you are. I
No.
think you're an extraordinary person.
Extraordinary.
and
Yeah.
Oh,
You're doing some really cool stuff.
Yeah.
For
And what you're saying too, like your big why is doing this in front of your children. I'll never have kids. He's got an amazing 1-year-old.
Yep.
But I'm still doing things that kids are watching.
absolutely.
And I coached for many years, and I have many kids that reach out to me, and there's many kids that, like my best friend's daughters are taking me out to dinner tomorrow night because they want to
Yeah.
hang out. Like to me, like I was literally 2 nights ago hanging out in the tree stand in my backyard, and I texted Taylor. I was like, I'm really depressed today.
Oh,
Like it happens. Like we go
we're
through this,
human.
and there's nothing wrong with admitting it.
Nope.
And 10 minutes later, I get a message from my best friend since I was 5, Jared. His daughter's like, hey, what are you doing Thursday night? You want to go to dinner? I was like, well, who's driving? Your dad, me, or your dad? Because I can't drive, or is Vaya driving? She's like, no, it's just us 3. Dad's not invited. We're just all going out. Like they
I
love
love it.
spending time with me.
Yeah.
Like, and it's probably because I'm a child, but like, but once again, like being an influence on somebody else in a positive way, no matter what the negatives are always going to be there. But if you can block that out and stay focused on being that positive influence on somebody that's younger than you, or even maybe somebody that's older, or somebody that's on the other side of the fence of wanting to do something big or do something bold that they've never done, that's what you're doing.
Yeah. I
That's
mean,
what you're doing.
life is hard, right? Life is hard. All we see sometimes are the images and posts on social media, but I'll be the first to say, with somebody who never really had any struggles as far as mental health goes, this last few weeks have kind of really tested me, right? And I still am a mom and have to make that a priority. But the reality is we all struggle in some way with something at some point. And with the kids that have worked for me throughout the years, I've written letters of recommendation. I have, gone to graduations. I've had reports written about me about how, they look up to me. And I'm like sitting here thinking, I'm just running a restaurant,
Yep.
right? And these girls are like, yeah, but like you're running a restaurant and you're a mom and you're a wife. And so back to your point, you don't necessarily have to have this huge business to be an influence. You're an influence on a coach. How many people watch both of your podcasts and say, wow,
At
like
least 3.
Bill Brennan's one of them for sure.
Bill,
Shout out Bill Brennan.
shout out Bill.
He gets shout out like every episode now. It's so funny.
He called me while I was sitting here, and he's like, just wanted to talk to John Henry today.
Oh,
I love Bill.
yeah,
He's a
no,
good
he's
guy.
a great
We did talk a little
person.
smack on him last week.
Oh yeah, we did.
Just joking, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we truly have a lot of the same friends.
We
you
do.
know?
Mhm.
And I'm proud of all of them. We all in some way are contributing to our area.
Yep.
And whether it's coaching or businesses,
We're all good hustling. There you
we're
go.
hustling.
Yeah, and To finish, I just thank you. It was
Thank
amazing to
you.
have you on the show. Something else real quick, like another new restaurant tier owner, they reached out to you when they were opening their restaurant for advice. And you're not going to not give that advice. Like we want to three things. Think local, promote local, and stay local. Like there's obviously big business we're always going to have to shop at, but just
There's enough
yeah.
for everyone. I have been so humbled by the number of people that have reached out to me. So, when you say things like, "Oh, you're kind of different," I don't look at it that way, but I have had a lot of people, ask for business advice. And you know what? When you're happy in your own life and with what you're doing, there should be no reason why you can't look at your neighbor and say, "I'm here for you. How
Yep.
can I help you?"
Amen.
Like,
Right.
this is what I do the same thing,
Yep.
you know? And that's what we should do as a community, and that's what we should continue to do to support small business.
Yep. Think local, buy local, and be kind.
Yep, be kind.
Yep. Thank you guys. We really
Thank you,
appreciate it. That
guys.
was a
And
great
we'll
show.
have links to the Bagel Boutique and everything down in the description if you want to go check it out. So definitely do that.
Yeah. Carla
Keep
Pike,
hustling.
Hoagstown. Let's go.